Have you ever wondered, do I even exist? Throughout history, this question has been posed and have been answered by many different people, but no one can ever come to a full consensus on whether we exist or not. Just because we can use our senses to perceive the world and interact with it, we can do the same thing in our dreams, so what makes this any different? How do we know this isn't some simulation or dream we're wandering about? Hopefully today, I can give you enough information to make a decision for yourself. Rene Descartes famously coined cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. His whole line of reasoning is that though my body may not exist, because I can think and question whether I exist, I must exist in some form. Now obviously, you're probably caught off guard by the French music and the footage of France. It's because he's French. I'm funny, I promise. Rene Descartes brings up a really interesting point. I honestly agree with him. I kind of came to a similar conclusion on my own. You know, that we have to exist in some way, shape, or form. It's just whether it's a dream or a simulation is never quite clear. Kinda lost on that. But overall, do the characters in your dreams think? How would we know if they think? It's a weird paradox, honestly. But I think it's a solid basis. We're just gonna found the basis of this video from Rene Descartes' presupposition of cogito ergo sum. Just so then we can keep this video relatively sane and that we don't devolve into semantics, that we understand what we're saying here. Have y'all ever had a dream that has completely predicted a moment of your life? Because I've been having those way too often, honestly. I've had quite a few dreams that I would have, and then a couple weeks, months, years down the road, I would have something in real life happen exactly how it did in my dream. And it has made me question whether or not I'm living in a dream or not. Because it seems like my mind has completely mapped out the entirety of my life, which is a little frightening. Even more frightening is the fact that I go outside and nothing ever feels real. It all feels fake. When I touch something, I don't really feel it. When I experience an emotion, it's not strong, it's not potent, it's more like a wisp, a phantom of an emotion. And it's leading me to believe that life is more of a fever dream than anything. Mainly because I've never really experienced anything that has felt truly real. And it's driving me insane. However, I do believe I do exist to some capacity thanks to our presupposition of cogito ergo sum. I do believe I exist. And I believe it would make sense that if I can think and question whether I exist, that must mean I exist to some degree. However, that degree is completely lost on me. I do not know how much I exist or in what way I exist. Yes, I can interact. I can throw my phone across the room if I wanted to right now. However, I could do the same thing in a dream. The same thing would happen. The only difference between a dream and reality is dreams tend to be less cohesive, though sometimes some dreams feel very real, like they actually happened. Which leads me to question whether our dreams are merely just another life, or if we're living in a dream. Because it feels too strange that our dreams can feel more real than our waking lives, or that they should be as real as our waking lives. It's strange and confusing. The fact that our mind can mimic this reality so well makes me question what if our minds made all of this up? What if we're all in our own conscience? That this reality we live in is just a collective reality. We're all in a collective dream. Or maybe none of us exist in this dream. Maybe we're all just characters in a dream of the universe. Dreamed up in this giant expanse of stuff to entertain it for however long we exist. However long it decides to let us exist. This idea alone begs the question, in what ways can we prove that we exist? And in what ways can we prove that we exist outside of a dream or a simulation? And as far as I'm aware of, nothing has been done to really test that, because, to be honest, I don't think there really is a good way to test that. It's just kind of anecdotal. Through your lived experiences and ideas, you come up with the answer, which feels a little daunting, because then there's no absolute answer, there's no absolute truth, there's just what we have right now in front of us and what we've gone through. I want to talk about Blade Runner 2049 and what that has to do with existence, so then we can at least try to understand these feelings, though I highly doubt we'll get to any real conclusion, because honestly, existence is a funny thing. Before we get into Blade Runner 2049, first some context. The first Blade Runner movie came out in 1989, I want to say. And it was made by director Ridley Scott, who made Alien. And it's a very beautiful film, which commentates on humanity and what makes us human, what classifies as being a human being. Is it being born a human being, or is it having the capacities of a human being? This, combined with the cyberpunk aesthetic and a futuristic jazzy feel to it, really adds to the potency of emotions you get from the film. Blade Runner 2049 is kind of a love letter to the original films, because there was never supposed to be a sequel, but then two guys, I don't remember their names, came up with the idea of a sequel because they loved the first movie so much. And here we are with Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner 2049 delves deep into loneliness with a critique on how we view people, history, and overall society. Watching Kay, we notice that he kind of struggles with loneliness. He feels alone, like he doesn't belong, that he doesn't have anywhere to stay. And honestly, he reflects a lot about existence in the fact that he, especially the more he learns about this half replicant, half human kid who's meant to free the replicants, the more we see how desperately he wishes to have meaning in his life, to have his existence mean something, to not live day by day feeling empty and hollow doing the same job over and over again. As we see with his attachment to the hologram lady, or his utter isolation, especially in his room and everything. And we just see him slowly but desperately try to come up with some meaning in his life, and he ends up doing the right thing. Kay eventually finds his meaning through protecting the half-replicant, half-human child and saving Deckard from the first film, in order to save the replicants, because there's a guy who's making new replicants, and throughout both movies we see the replicants seen as slaves. They're man-made human beings, but they're seen as lesser than, so they're used as slaves for slave labor and to have their bodies be used. But in both films show them having human emotions and sentience, desiring to be free from their chains and to be able to finally live like human beings, be treated like human beings. And Kay saves Deckard and brings him to his half-replicant, half-human daughter, so then they can grant the freedom that the replicants so greatly desire. But Kay sacrifices himself. He dies. And in that, he finds the meaning of existence, his meaning of existence. And I know this seems kind of left field, because this is about whether we exist or not. However, we can easily live through these imaginary characters, and these imaginary characters allow us to live through what we feel, to live out our fantasies of what we wish we could do. And I think that Kay represents our desire to at least find meaning in our existence, even if our existence may not be truly real. That despite the loneliness and the constant feeling of emptiness from our daily lives, we wish we would have one moment that we could do something and help someone out, to finally bring meaning to our existence and find some reason to keep on existing. And I think that's beautiful. The fact that despite our inability to understand our nature of existence, we still wish to make it meaningful. Overall, the movie really encapsulates the struggle of existence. How our loneliness makes us question why we even exist, but we can find some cause to throw ourselves behind, to add a reason to exist at least, or at least bring some form of meaning. I believe existence does not inherently have meaning, but that we can bring it meaning by helping others and giving others what we never had, so that maybe one day we can die knowing that at least our existence meant something to someone, even if that someone isn't ourselves. I'd like to leave this off with one of my favorite monologues ever, and I hope it impacts you as much as it did when I watched Bladerunner. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe, and in case I don't see you, good morning, good evening, and good night.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched C-beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears.